As a startup, you need to avoid big capital expenditures, big investments that take a lot of cash because you don't have a lot of cash in the beginning and you need to be more agile with the things that you invest in. So let's walk through a few examples of what those big capital expenditures might be. One example is a website. When people set up a startup, they think, well, I definitely need a website. I need to get some sort of credibility out there in the internet. I need to get some branding and put something up on a website. But let me tell you, as somebody who used to make a lot of money selling websites and selling them for $10,000, $20,000, something I've learned along the way is that it isn't necessary. You can build an entire marketing system that gets results, gets sales, gets leads for you without needing to take that $5,000, $2,000, $10,000, whatever, and sink it into this sunk investment that is a website. Because a website is an investment that pays dividends in the long run. It's not going to pay for itself immediately. There are ways to get results quickly and more effectively than a website. And I'm going to show you what those are. So, for example, one thing that I typically recommend for startups is that they start with LinkedIn ads. Now, when you run LinkedIn ads, you don't need a website. You don't even need a landing page. You just go straight to advertising. You take that money that you would have put towards your website, your logo, your copywriting, etc. You put it directly into the market with ads. And that's going to lead directly to customer acquisition. Now, let me just walk you through a few examples of results I've got. So, I was able to get views for 3 cents. Okay, that's actually the minimum that you can pay on LinkedIn to have potential customers watch your video. And I was able to do that. I'm able to get hundreds of people, potential buyers, watching my video, 3 cents each. Okay, there's no website, there's no fixed investment at all. I just go straight to advertising. Okay, other examples, I'm able to get leads, free trial signups, $23. You can get quote requests for like $40, $50. And that's immediately going to your sales pipeline. It's not required that you sink a lot of money into some big expensive retainer or website or anything. You just go straight to the advertising. I'm able to hit target customers' inboxes with messages for 17 cents each. You realize how ridiculously cheap that is? I mean, if you wanted to send direct mail or something, that's going to cost, the printing alone will probably be more than 17 cents to get those postcards, those mailboxes out there. And often the way that I make this effective is I capture the leads, I capture the interest in LinkedIn itself using their native form. I don't need to pay a web developer to build a form on a website or a landing page, optimize it, test it. LinkedIn's already done that. They've already figured it out. They've already automated it. They have already given you the capability to do all of this without any programming skill, without any design skill, and being able to target specifically your target audience and get results this effectively. So let me ask you, you have $5,000 in your bank account. Which would you rather? A $5,000 website where you have to continuously add content yourself through the blog, you need to continuously update it, you need to continue to maintain it, you need to pay for hosting, you need to pay for domain registration. Okay, so don't get me wrong. A website is a good investment in the long run. Okay, but if you're strapped for cash, and I don't know what stage your startup is at, if you're doing okay and you're a bit established, maybe you have a few dozen customers, okay, great, invest in your website. But when you're first starting out and when you're thinking about where most of your money should be invested, you need to think in terms of marketing systems, not nice to have items like a website. Okay, so scenario one is you get this website and you got to keep feeding it. You have all these maintenance costs. Or scenario two, you get 50 people requesting calls with your sales team. Okay, so I'm assuming there it's going to cost about $50 to get somebody to request a quote, request a consultation, request a demo, maybe sign up for a free trial. Which would you rather? Would you rather a pipeline of customers, potential customers that are actively in conversations about buying your product, or a $5,000 website that could potentially lead to people finding you on the website through the internet, which they probably won't because you're going to need to continuously pay for search engine optimization, either in terms of money or time. So I just think the best approach when you're a startup is to take the most direct route to getting customers, rather than getting distracted by things like a big fancy website. Okay, I'm going to walk you through another example of what I'm talking about. So I was doing research in one of my jobs, looking at data for thousands of e-commerce sellers. And what I wanted to figure out was who's actually making serious money, who's making the millions and is really establishing a solid business that they can invest in. And one of the trends I noticed was that a lot of these really successful e-commerce sellers were on Amazon. That's where the bulk of their sales were coming from. It was not their own website. It was on a marketplace. So Amazon builds the website. They build the template for what your sales page looks like. They control what the font is. You don't have to pay for hosting. It's all there for you. Those are the people that were making the millions, the tens of millions. Now, Shopify, you have to build your own website. You have to build your own brand. You have to send people to your website. You have to generate your traffic. Now, listen, I'm not saying Shopify is really successful. Okay, Shopify sellers are really successful. But as a startup, it's just much, much easier if you focus less on building websites and more on actually generating sales. And I think one of the reasons in the kind of small mid stages why Amazon sellers tend to be so successful is because it's focused on selling. When you have a marketplace and you put your listing up there with your products, the focus becomes less about how do I do these things that are fun? How do I come up with a cool name, a cool brand, a cool mailing list, all this kind of fun, brandy stuff. Instead, it focuses you on selling, because a lot of that stuff when you're building a website are distractions. They're things that could potentially pay off in the long run, but in the beginning, you need to be proving that you can generate sales. And by having an Amazon listing instead of a website, you're focusing on what actually generates results.